The deathless eyes.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I'll play again.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Killer, Mom.
I'm just gonna bash you.
What's blood for? If not for shedding.
Welcome to 31 Days of Horror Movies 2021. I'm your host, Sam Johnston. Back with me again, Adam and Allison. We just watched Tusk from 2014.
So this was within the first 5 minutes.
Ew.
Tusk. Ew.
Tusk.
Ew.
Directed by Kevin Smith, written
Kevin Smith.
by Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
A brash and arrogant podcaster gets more than he's bargained for when he travels to Canada to interview a mysterious recluse who has a rather disturbing fondness for walruses. Long-winded is just the word that comes in my mind.
Yeah.
All the
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
Every scene.
It's a movie of monologues.
Monologues after
Mhm.
monologues
Mhm.
after poem after
Mhm.
song after monologue.
I thought it was clever at first, and then I got real sick of it.
Yeah, you get
He's
tired.
quoting the greats, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is kind of fun, engaging.
At the beginning, when they're trying to build tension, it does work because at that time we don't know totally what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, it's just like every other scene is just them just talking forever, and then you get characters that talk forever, talking to each other, and you're just like, oh my god, can we get through this scene?
Yep.
Can we get through this freaking scene?
Yeah.
Who was a likable character in this movie?
Kind of the best friend, but
Kind
even
of.
then, he's
Kind of,
cheating
yeah.
on, yeah.
Because right from the top, we get an introduction to the best friend and Justin Long, who plays Wallace,
Mm-hmm.
and his best friend Teddy, who run a podcast where they literally are just assholes.
Yep.
They just watch YouTube videos, viral videos, and just make fun of them.
Yeah, and it's called the Not See
Yeah,
Podcast.
NOTSEE Party.
The Nazi Party. Yeah.
Nazi Party.
God damn it.
And just from the top, I mean, we're supposed to hate these characters,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely supposed to hate
All
these
their merch
characters.
is like, I dig the Nazi party.
Uh-huh.
Or like, I love, yeah. You're like, all right, okay.
Mhm.
And especially Justin Long.
Mhm.
He is everything he says is just bad.
Mhm.
And just all about cheating or fucking or
Yes.
money.
Yeah.
Really just a nasty dude who's, I mean, it says it in the description, arrogant and brass. I just kept writing down, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate this guy.
Yeah.
Technical.
Yay.
Yay. So we meet these awful podcasters, and these are the main characters that we have to follow through the rest of the movie.
Uh-huh.
And he's an asshole to his girlfriend, too.
Yeah.
In that scene, he never says anything redeeming to her.
No. Mm-mm.
Only puts her down,
Mhm.
only makes jokes about, like, serious things that she's trying to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and then somehow still gets to have sex with her by the end. At least the writing of that just wasn't even believable.
It was just, he was so... his jokes were so bad, so offensive to anyone watching, and then it just, like, she is just, like, making excuses for him.
I feel like the person that we're following through the movie and who we ultimately should feel sympathy for should have some sort of redeeming, at least one redeeming quality in there, that we like this person, maybe something.
It's the only reason I feel bad for him is because of the experience he's going through,
Yeah.
which
Right.
I wouldn't wish on anyone.
Right. Even though I hate him for his personality, I still
Yes.
don't want him to go through that.
No.
Then he's off to Canada, and he realizes the Kill Bill kid killed himself.
And yet again, he's like, fucking selfish kid.
Yeah.
Oh my
I had spent
God.
$500 on a
Yeah.
flight, and this is what I get. How could he?
He was in
You're
the
like,
bar.
Yeah, no redeeming.
Yeah, he's in the
No-
bar
no
on the
redemption.
phone, I'm assuming with Teddy.
Yeah, I think so.
And he's talking about not only the fact that he's pissed that this kid committed suicide,
Yeah.
but also the fact that he was dragged up to this, like, shitty country. Meanwhile, he's in a public bar,
Yeah.
talking loud
Yes.
about this stuff. He makes his way to the bathroom, the place where he really belongs, and sees a letter where, oh shit, here's a story.
Yeah,
It was
I don't think I'd show up to a stranger's home.
no.
in the middle of nowhere.
A
because of
handwritten letter in a
Yeah.
bathroom
Yeah.
in the stall.
I was just like, I'm not sold. To take that whole thing down from the bathroom and then drive 2 hours to Bifrost, whatever the fuck that is.
Bifrost, which is
Yeah.
in Norse mythology is the road between worlds or the
bridge between
between worlds.
Oh, okay. That scene when he first meets Howard, I think is probably the best scene.
Oh, yeah.
The most enjoyable scene
In the whole movie.
Yes.
100%.
When this wheelchair bound old man with a bunch of stories, and they start having a tea time, and Howard starts sharing some of his stories. The whole story between him and being held back from storming the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah.
And we cut to a black and white footage. Wallace notices the bottle that was attached to the Hemingway story. He goes over and is like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. He's like, well, when you attach an item to a story, it becomes a talisman to take you to, or to connect you to another time.
It really draws you in. It's really fascinating. It's really wonderful storytelling in that moment. You're like, oh, this is fantastic storytelling, and I could watch a whole movie of just these stories.
We notice the bone. And then this movie gets weird. It keeps getting weird.
Oh, yeah. It's
I know what it is.
bone.
Yeah,
it's the
I
penis
said,
bone.
I said cockbone.
Yeah.
I said
Yeah,
walrus cockbone.
Yeah. Which is like cats and dogs divert, the mammal kingdom kind of cuts down the middle between mammals that have a penis bone and mammals that don't have a penis bone.
Think about it as a divide. I mean, this whole movie, we're kind of talking about the divide between man and animal, too. And that symbol of divide is on his mantle. So, and it's a big thing for Howard through this whole thing, is asking the age-old question, even before the question of the Sphinx, is man's heart really a walrus heart or something like that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what we were asking before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But obviously it's going back to, is man more than animal?
Yeah.
Is man different than just a walrus? There's this blend of man and animal, obviously, that they're playing with through this whole thing. They're setting it up, I thought, pretty well in this scene. Wallace is loving the tea. Loving this tea.
Loving this tea.
Yeah, so much focus on the tea.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, to me, so obvious what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Very much so.
It was just I love this tea. He even says it, what do you do to this tea?
Walks
And I was
around
like,
with the
dude,
tea,
you are just
There it is.
open your eyes, brother. Open your eyes. You're in the middle of nowhere and you're drinking some really good tea. You're going to start tripping.
Yep.
And
Shit's gonna happen.
And he does. He trips and he falls on his face.
Yeah.
He's in a wheelchair. Yeah. And he's really out of it. Super drowsy. And I kind of actually liked Justin Long's performance in that scene because he was coming out of being super drowsy. But he was also, as that scene went on, he was getting more and more
Processing.
confused and scared. And he kept that drowsiness throughout the whole scene, but you can see him try to get himself back into consciousness so he can figure out what's going on. He goes, I need to call a doctor. I need to call my parents. I need to talk to a doctor. It was sad for a moment of he's totally confused.
Yeah.
I put myself there for a minute, even if I was fully conscious. There's no phones. There's no one else around. Your leg is gone.
Yeah.
You're paralyzed.
Yeah.
It's panic. It's sheer panic.
And this old man is not the old crippled man that we thought of at the beginning.
Yeah.
He stands up.
Yeah.
And that's a moment where Wallace is like,
goddamn.
oh shit.
Yeah.
I underestimated this guy too. Slaps him across the face. Horrible screaming from Justin Long. This is where it starts. He's screaming in the dining room. He's screaming all the time. For the rest of the movie.
For the rest of the movie, he's screaming.
I think, we talked yesterday. I mentioned how auditory I am. When I hear, I think that was almost worse than the visual for me. Just even, I'll admit, I might have looked at my phone a few times to ignore the screen, but even still hearing that scream the entire film, my stomach is still churning.
It's constant too. And then we go to probably another monologue scene of, I think this is the more like medical. I'm jumping to that scene.
Yeah, Duplicious orphans.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what he's talking about?
When he was an orphan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We're pretty much getting Howard's entire backstory.
Mm-hmm.
His parents were murdered, and then after that he was in an orphanage where he was horribly abused. Just like, honestly, the worst possible situation you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was in, essentially.
The only, like, if we believe almost everything he says, the only lie he tells is the brown recluse. That's the only lie.
That is so... Okay.
You know, if he is telling the truth on everything else, that's the only lie he talks about. And it's funny because he uses it multiple times.
But
huh?
he's
and
had
who he
several
is.
aliases,
That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
But I think it was all true. I think
Even the Ernest Hemingway thing?
no, I don't know.
See, it's like
The childhood,
that
I feel like-
that's the story that he starts with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the story that he brings Wallace and us in with.
Yeah.
That's what makes him interesting. But also, when you think back on it, that seems like a ridiculous
it's a very
story.
weird, yeah.
To me, I'm like, I don't know. It's hard to tell if any of this stuff that he's saying is true. I think that's kind of the point of the character.
Yeah.
I don't think they did a great job of really making that clear of like, because maybe there should have been a couple more ridiculous kind of stories to make us really question it. I just feel like that's maybe what they were going for, is that we can't really trust this character.
But also he could believe everything. Like
could.
maybe
We could
he's
believe
lying,
everything.
but he could be like,
True.
"This is my life."
He absolutely could
Which
believe
I think
everything.
even if all those things hadn't happened to him, if you think that all those things happened, it'd fuck you up. Which
Sure.
I had a very hard time sitting there and being like, okay, so if all these things are true, yes, he has reasons to be so demented, but also you're an adult. Like, don't be so, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that happen, but, like,
Yeah. It's
Don't
like,
do the things to the
the
people.
don't, exactly.
this.
Yeah. But he's gone. He's crazy.
It's-
And he's exploring the ultimate question of
That
like,
first little break, it's actually like a couple minutes for that, but when he starts to the itsy bitsy spider
yeah.
and
Oh,
he
my
breaks there,
God.
I was like, oh, it's done. All right.
That
There's
actually-
no sanity.
yeah.
There's no coming back.
I actually really did like that moment where he's committed to that brown recluse lie, and then as soon as he does that,
It's just
we know. I mean, we've known this whole
Yeah.
time, but that's the moment
But
that
that's-
clues Wallace in of, holy shit, this is in.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was such a creepy
It's
and
terrible.
cool way for him to reveal this is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not real. Yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah. This is how Kevin Smith writes movies.
I
This
do
is a
understand.
Kevin Smith movie.
I don't
For
know,
sure.
yeah.
He does monologue instead of like a lot of dialogues
Intermixing,
because a monologue you can really explore a character's thinking,
Okay.
and that's how a lot of his movies are.
Yeah.
Chasing Amy, Clark's.
They're very dialogue and monologue heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in certain situations it does work. And in certain scenes, even in this movie, it works because it builds tension to a certain point. But it almost felt like sometimes he was building tension and then it kept going so long that the tension was gone.
You're exhausted.
And I was
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
okay, when are we going to be
Yeah.
done with this scene?
Yeah.
I'm not tense anymore. I'm just waiting for the scene to be done. This movie, just within scenes, there was multiple monologues within one scene and multiple characters talking for so long within one scene. I'm just like, God, just go cut somewhere else, please.
This is where we are introduced to not bounty hunter, detective, I guess. Inspector.
Yeah.
The clownish character.
My
Give it
God.
away. Mhm.
Johnny Depp in a French Canadian accent,
It was
wearing his beret, being like
I was just
almost
like-
cross-eyed,
3/4 into the movie, he comes in and
and then we sit with him for 8.
oh
12
my God.
minutes.
the
That's
burger
Well,
joint.
Yeah,
at the burger joint, we meet him and he's talking so long,
That was done.
so freaking long.
Mhm.
And then he goes to a flashback where we are sitting with the two most long-winded characters of this whole movie having a conversation with each other.
Yeah.
And oh my god, I wanted that scene to end so bad. And also the performance, I understand what Howard was going for. He was trying to be a simpleton. At certain points, it just felt mean-spirited.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
bad. Yeah.
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 Why is this character here?
Yeah.
We're in a horror movie, I thought.
Yeah.
And now we're suddenly throwing in this clownish, like, fumbling character 75%
That entire scene
into
could
it.
have been summed up with, yeah, I came across him once 2 years ago, and I was there and I could have stopped it. End scene. That could have been it.
That's what I felt like with a lot of these scenes where I'm like, you are taking so much time to
Is
go
it
in
just
circles.
building your angst, though? Like, it's not even, like, suspense. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on edge just like I want it to be over. Like,
Yeah.
I just...
If it wasn't what it was, I enjoy how it plays itself out because I like monologues. If I wrote a thing, it would be a lot of monologues, which is it shows my skill in writing is not great, but I enjoy a monologue and like exploring a person's like thought processes and loving like the references they make, loving how I love actually seeing someone have to talk for a while, have to have this like rhythm in the thing they're talking about, and have to like when they're referencing another person or something, or even like quoting another person, like putting on a sort of like a voice for that other person, and like because people talk like that, and it's really interesting to see people talk like that.
Oh, and somewhere in here we get the reveal of full Wallace.
Yeah.
We get that full reveal of his legs have been cut off, his arms have been sewed together, and he's in the walrus suit, and it's...
Yeah. His tongue's been removed.
And his tongue's been torn.
It's not your femur. A tibia?
Yeah, his like tibias or
have
like,
been sharpened down into his tusks.
and made into tusks. And,
Owie.
And then he's like...
We get that
chained
full
up.
reveal of the zoom out of him. I mean, he looks horrible. He's hard to look at, and I will give credit to whoever made that. That thing
Props to
was
Rob.
disgusting and hard to look at, and that's exactly what they were going for. Obviously, it looked good though. I mean, for an effect, it looked good.
Yes,
Yeah.
It was a well
Did
done
its purpose.
special
Made
effect.
me
Yes,
very
yes,
sick.
yes.
To make us feel that and not want to look at it, it was had to be a well done practical effect. And it was practical. It was all practical, which I
all practical.
absolutely appreciate about it. It was so hard to look at though. He was on screen a lot, and it was just like, oh man, I don't want to look at him.
Yeah.
He looks so bad. Oh my god.
Bad. And like the skin pieces, some of them were like there was like a face was one of the like patches on it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
there were ears and belly buttons all
and it
over.
was
it.
Different
like-
shades of skin too.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it was
terrible.
The sign, what's the place called? Whatever the name of the...
the
Pippin
Pippi Hill.
I thought it looked very much like the Auschwitz gate, where there's torture and surgery and experimental, and I wrote that down because that's what I thought, just that black iron where people walk through.
Oh,
It made me
absolutely.
think of Arkham Asylum, which is probably referencing the
What is that? I think it's a work will free you. I think is what it says. Yeah. Oof.
Which
No,
made,
you're
I don't
totally
know,
right.
the surgery scenes felt even worse to me then.
I mean, he was a mad scientist for sure.
But he was also operating on a Nazi. Like Justin Long's
Whoa.
character is a Nazi.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
He's a
Look at
Nazi.
He's part of the Nazi party. He's
I
not
missed
like
that one.
Okay.
I know, right?
I'm like Auschwitz, and then you're
Auschwitz,
like,
and then we bring in the Nazi. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking about Nazis and Nazi scientists too, though, they were trying to create a subhuman or master race. Something that this guy is also somewhat attempting to do. He's trying to create a new hybrid of some sort.
well, he thinks animals are above humans.
To me, the message was mixed because
It was
in
strange.
the end it seemed like, okay, you have to accept being a walrus in order to kill me, and I'm doing all of this because I feel bad for having killed that first walrus, and I want to give another walrus the chance to like
Yeah.
overcome me because I did wrong and this is my
Yeah.
But then
repentance.
Yes, but then he stood up at the end and was like, "My animal instinct
I
is kicking
fucking
in."
hated that. And
Yeah.
the skin like
Ugh.
splits and falls
Splits
off.
off, and he
Just
like
a-
steps out of it
Just more transforming, except
And
in
it's not
a
okay.
in a really gross way.
really gross
Again,
way.
sick practical effects, and we get this. I don't know. To me, it looks stupid. The walrus
Just
fight. It looks stupid to
But,
me.
yeah.
It was all practical, which I think is also why it looks stupid because they're like constricted by that costume.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, look at walruses fighting, and they look stupid fighting.
but it at least looks
But that was
because they were
yeah.
intercutting it with actual walruses like
Yeah.
going at it. That looked
Yeah.
dangerous. That looked like them like really pecking at each
Mm-hmm.
other with those big things. This just looked like them rubbing up against each other.
Mhm.
And then Howard ultimately gets destroyed by his own creation.
Yeah,
Back again with that.
which is the what he wished to have happened, because in order for that to happen, Wallace has to embrace walrusness.
Do you think
Yeah.
that
Monstrousness.
the other attempts that he
Mm-hmm.
made at making these walrus people either never, because he does say no one's made it this far.
Yeah.
Do you think they never actually made it to fighting him, or in the fights he came out on top?
I think
with
both.
other people.
I think both.
Yeah.
I think some of them
I
drowned.
think some drowned, some
of-
starved. Yeah. I think
And then
that's
some
just,
of them in the fight just lost
Just
because
lost.
they couldn't.
They didn't tap in enough to their walrus heart.
Yeah.
He kills the old man. Thank God, because he can't deliver another monologue.
No,
Yeah.
God.
And
Well, he stabs him through the throat. Old man still talks.
Still talks.
Still talks. Still
still
says
talks through the death.
Mhm.
I'm like, at least this can't be a full monologue. You get like 2 lines, maybe
Mm-hmm.
3. That's all you get when you're dying. I have no idea how they recognize that that is Wallace immediately. I would be like, what the fucking fuck is that?
Yeah.
That is something we saw in society.
Yeah.
That's some like weird ass
Yeah.
Oh
shit.
my God.
We gotta go to an epilogue
1
scene.
year later.
1 year later, and we're at the exotic animal section of the zoo, which, good God, why do they accept him?
Can you imagine if you were just taking, like, kids, you have the day off from school. You want to go to the zoo today?
That's
What?
awful. That's the worst
What?
nightmare you could possibly see of this like flesh stitched.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't show kids this. They did him a disservice. Everyone did him a disservice. I don't care if he's going oh and screaming
Ew.
like a walrus.
Yeah.
He's not making the choice to stay a walrus. Everyone around him is
Yeah.
keeping him that way
I agree.
True.
because they can't see him as anything other than that.
Yikes.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible, awful, terrible. Terrible people
Because
doing
then-
terrible things.
The very end is him crying.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
she says, is that one of the first things she says? Something about like,
She talks.
Alex says,
No,
like,
there's this.
her grandfather.
it flashes back.
It flashes
Right.
back. It also again feels like the movie's cleaning up its own messes at this point, where we're doing these flashbacks, and it's like, oh, this is about to make this moment meaningful. So yeah, it's in that last scene. They they throw the fish, and he starts to eat it,
Yeah.
and she calls Wallace, and he looks up at her, and then we get the flashback of him being an asshole while they're about to have sex,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, I never cry. Why would I cry?
Yeah.
And she's like, my grandmother used to say that
Crying separates humans from the animals.
fruits from the animals. It shows you have a soul.
Mm.
Something like that. And then we cut back to the worst zoo ever. And he's like got tears in his eyes.
But then she still leaves.
Bye, Wallace. I
It
love
wasn't-
you.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
I love you,
there
Wallace.
was no, like, oh,
Bye.
he's crying. Maybe she just leaves.
Yep.
You're like, okay.
Which again, I guess goes back to like they can't view him as anything
Yeah.
else except an animal.
Yeah.
And can he?
I don't know
You-
if you like gave him some surgery, took that weird ass suit off of him, like separated his
Yeah, like,
legs
take
out
that
again. You
suit.
could maybe give him some autonomy to decide
Yeah.
whether he's a fucking animal or not.
Yeah, because he still has hands.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have legs, but he's got hands. And you can like separate
Yeah.
the fucking wing shit that they did to him.
God.
And also, yeah, just take off that goddamn suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone take him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck, Haley Joel?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you had the sixth sense.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Oh my god.
And so then we end with probably more... Yeah, no, it actually was more screaming from fucking Wallace.
Yeah.
And then we see written and directed by Kevin Smith.
Mm.
Tusk. 2014. Wow. But let's get out of this episode, huh?
Yes, please.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
Plug yourself.
Season 3, episode 4, podcast. Check it out. Everywhere.
Everywhere. Love it.
Barf bags.
Barf
Thank
bags.
you.
Get
This is
them.
actually probably the first I really could have used one.
Could have used it.
Really was
This
upset
was
for the
maybe
whole
worse
film.
than The Fly.
It was.
Oh,
I
the
100%
horror of it.
I hated
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And you can find me at Beep Beep Richie T on Instagram. Also check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we're recording this at. But until tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
y'all, let's get spooky. More screaming.
No. No.